As the 2023 elections draw closer, there are intrigues and dramatic moments in virtually every Nigerian political party. Our focus today is on the major opposition, People's Democratic Party, and the fast-rising Labour Party. Now, both parties have been in the news for different reasons in recent times, and early next year's election is on the burner. From Peter Obi and his growing army of young followers to Atiku Abubakar and the PDP's current leadership issues, we'll unpack them all as we listen to voices in the party and what they make of their parties. Welcome, I'm Sulaiman. The PDP has had growing issues so far with bigwigs of the party currently in a face-off. Rivers State Governor in Nigeria's southern region, Wike, is one of the most popular politicians in Nigeria at the moment, and his place in the People's Democratic Party has opened several debates. The Wike camp, comprising the Rivers State Governor and some other PDP governors, wants the chairman Ayu out, while Atiku, the party's presidential candidate, insists on the Iyocha Ayu chairmanship. Now, the cracks in the party suggest a house that needs to solve its problems, but the PDP is still hopeful of winning the 2023 presidential election and mounting a great challenge. In the Labour Party, there have been allegations from the ruling party and the campaign office of the APC about plans from Peter Obi to fake an assassination attempt. There are also suggestions that the mainstream parties in Nigeria now consider the Labour Party a strong presence in the Nigerian polity. Now, we discuss more on the readiness of the Third Force Coalition and the Labour Party. Joining me live in the studios today is Tanko Yunusa. He's the spokesperson of the Third Force Coalition for Labour Party. Pretty much later, Bwala Daniel will be joining me, who is the spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar 2023. I can see Daniel. Daniel, good to see you. For a bit, I didn't see you pop up, so I thought you're going to come in pretty much later. So, gentlemen, thanks for your time. And let's quickly, because we also understand that Daniel won't be too long with us here as he's got some other issues. But quickly, let's start with you, Daniel. The resignation of the chairman of your party's Board of Trustees, Walid Jibrin, and the emergence of former Senate President Adolphus Wabara, help us make sense of the situation at the moment in the PDP.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good evening to your viewers. Indeed, the emergence of the chairman Board of Trustees, of course, flowing from the resignation of the former chairman Board of Trustees, is one of the ways that the party is dealing with the present situation that we're in, what outsiders call crisis, but we actually call it differences among the various stakeholders of the party. And Adolphus Wabara is one former Senate president and one individual that everybody in the party has the highest regards and respect for. And no doubt we have the belief that he's coming into that position as chairman of the board. He will facilitate the reconciliation that is muchly needed, that is needed for us to go forward. This is an exciting period. In fact, this election of 2023 is about to be the most successful election for PDP because we are better positioned with the messaging, we are better positioned with the narrative, we are better positioned with the vision that as a party we have for the Nigerian people. And because over time also PDP transformed itself from what it used to be to where we are and where we want to go, then it is evident that by the time we begin to engage with other political parties, the Nigerian people will make a decision as to which of the parties is better prepared to lead Nigeria out of the woods.
And Daniel, this optimism which you hold so dear, what do you make of the leadership tussle in the party at the moment? Isn't that a stumbling block?
No, it is not. Democracy is noisy because the whole concept of democracy is a process. by which political party participates in the process for the purposes of seizing power in the hope that they will deliver on the vision they have for the country. That process entails that people of different ideals, different ideas, different interests will come together under an umbrella, a platform called a political party. That engagement will definitely bring disagreement. It is natural with any political party around the world. And people are having a misconception as to the problem, that perceived problem that people are associating with Governor Wike, to assume that that is a major problem for the party. The name of the party is People's Democratic Party. And although we admit and acknowledge Governor Wike as a strong stakeholder of the party, whom we are proud to project as a governor that delivers on infrastructure, but we know that the party can survive without not just Wike, even Atiku. If he's not in PDP, the party can survive, because if you look at PDP from 1998 when it was formed to this moment, you can see that it is a more stable party as compared to the other political parties. It has survived tribulation. It has survived a period that was worse than what it is today. And yet you could see in 2019, they gave a good fight. And now it is better positioned because the party has a lot of other stakeholders that have joined in. And the good thing for us is that in spite of all of the agitation that Governor Wike has been expressing in the last few weeks and days, one thing that is clear is that Governor Wike said he's not moving to any political party, and is concerned it is that which the party can deal with.
And now you're talking about Wike. Well, let me quickly welcome Yunusa. Yunusa, good to see you, and thanks for finding time to be here live. And the Labour Party, you've been, I was going to ask Daniel the same thing, because you're almost one of the few politicians who's not been jumping ship.
Yes.
How has that been, staying put with the party for that number of years?
Well, first of all, let me just say good evening to Africa and Nigeria generally, and the Lagosians who we are here. Interestingly, it's not been easy for you to be consistent. But then when you stand with the people, you stand to gain a lot. And that's why we can speak at any point in time. We can speak to the people and they can listen to us. And when we say ABC, we mean every word we say. And that's why you are seeing the kind of humongous support that we are getting so far from this working together with the Labour Party. So it has not been easy, but to God be the glory, today we are docking that ship of getting the Nigerian people out of the wood. We are tired of people running from pillar to post. We are tired of people not really facing the issues. We want to deal with Nigerian issues, i.e. electricity, talk about jobs for Nigerian youth, talk about health, talk about security, talk about how we are being viewed internationally. And thank God today we have those programs tied down around the Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, the NC Front, and all other well-meaning Nigerians who are interested in rescuing Nigeria. So Nigerians are now ripe to take the battle of leadership and take back Nigeria back to themselves. And then the vehicle that they are using today is the Labour Party. And then, of course, the driver who want to lead them to this particular destination is Peter Obi and Dr. Baba Amin.
Well, somehow I think you sound very much like Daniel Bwala, who thinks that the 2023 election is an election that could be the most successful for his party. So on what are you hinging your success or your optimism for the Labour Party?
Interestingly, I will agree with him to be a successful election because the Nigerian people have woken up. For a very long time, a lot of our leaders have been accusing the Nigerian youth of hostility, and now they've woken up. So the success of this election is going to be hinged on the Nigerian youth. They have been independently financing the campaign. They make T-shirts for themselves, they make billboards for themselves, they pay transportation from point A to B. They've been able to actually galvanize Nigeria and say, look, hey, election is practicing around the world that you can say, we own the process. And that's why it's so easy, because we are not under a political party called the Labour Party, which is social democracy political party, which is owned by the people. And the idea and the modus operandi of the Labour Party is simple. Own your project. Own the Nigerian project. And interestingly, Peter Obi happened to fit in perfectly into that particular system, because if you look at the manifesto of the Labour Party, it says first, you want to create job employment, which of course the past decades we have seen the level in which Nigerians have been put into, especially the Nigerian youth who have not stood up very vehemently to say, look, this must stop. We must get employment. You cannot plunge our collective matrimony into your pockets and keep on changing it today to another person, tomorrow to another person, coming from the old circle and then leaving us in fallow. We want to take Nigeria back to the Nigerian people. And that is what the success of this particular election will be.
Let's come back to you, Daniel. Daniel, you know, listening to Yunusa, one of the key things here has to do with your political party. Some would say, well, love the PDP or hate the PDP. Some of the big names in any other political party may have had, you know, some kind of dalliance with the PDP. Now, you spoke of Governor Nyesom Wike and Peter Obi, who's today the candidate of the Labour Party. That's Yunusa's candidate, was once your member. How much of an effort do you think your flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar, is making to ensuring that Nyesom Wike truly stays with your party?
First of all, man is a free moral agent. So no matter what you try to do to make your son stay with you, if your son is above the age of 18, he has a right and freedom of association and freedom of movement. The choice of whether he stays or not is his. But like you said, what effort are we making? The effort we are making to ensure that that Governor Wike is his interest is accommodated is that we ensure that, number one, all of us embrace him and nobody castigate him, in spite of all of his utterances, his agitations, his vituperations, and everything that he has said and he keeps saying. One. Two, we try also to manage, probably this is the first time he's encountering or experiencing a failure of this magnitude, but he was not the only person who lost the presidential primaries. And thirdly, he insists that the national chairman should drop, but I'm sure that now that the party has made a decision and passed a vote of confidence on the national chairman by the Board of Trustees and NWC, that's the vote of confidence by the Board of Trustees on the NWC, I'm sure he recognizes the superiority of the party. And at the state where he is, he has always admonished the people in the state to understand the superiority and supremacy of the party over the members. So he will certainly come to terms with the fact that this is the decision of the party and he has to follow through. As for Governor Peter Obi, interestingly, just about 5 minutes ago, I left him somewhere. He's somewhere in the circumference where I am. And he's such an energetic and smart fellow. We've always had our respect for Peter Obi because we believe he's one of those individuals that has a future with Nigeria. Is he ready now? I think not. I think not, because the situation we're confronted with will not require a learner, will not require a beginner. It will not require a greenhorn. What the situation where we're in, that the situation requires somebody who is experienced. What I say is experienced, by that I mean somebody who has had the privilege at some point in his political career to be confronted with the situation that we're in. Atiku Abubakar, as vice president to Olusegun Obasanjo, you recall, as soon as democracy returned in 1999, they were confronted with the issue of Sharia in the north. You have the Bakassi in the southeast, and of course you have the, I can't remember the name now, in the southwest. And they posed a threat at the time to the stability and the peace and the unity of the country. Atiku Abubakar was one of the individuals, in fact, the leading individual that brokered the deal, that brought about stability around the time, because Obasanjo was all over the map trying to secure debt cancellation for Nigeria and to woo foreign investors. So Atiku has had the experience of dealing with insecurity. With respect to the economy, which is the mainstay, and if you look at what we're confronted with Nigeria, everything revolves around economy. Now, Atiku Abubakar was able to pioneer the opening of our economy around the time he was vice president of Nigeria. And it was the opening of the economy that created jobs in the telecom, that the value chain has not been matched by any sector of our economy today, inclusive of agriculture. You talk about the area of uniting the country, which is, of course, one of the biggest characteristics or strength of Atiku Abubakar over the other presidential candidate. He is somebody who believes that every part of Nigeria is the part of Nigeria. And anybody, regardless of where he comes from, regardless of his background, can have the hope and the dream of the Nigerian project. It means somebody from Ohio here cannot be dreamed to become Nigeria's president without having to
but quickly here, Daniel, let me quickly jump in here. Quite a lot for you, to say about Atiku, and I've had the chance of speaking to both candidates, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. But there's something here about the IU chairmanship, which we seem to have glossed over. And I remember then you were a big advocate for zoning. Even at that time, you ran for office. So people are amazed, saying it looks like Wike has a big point. You can't, as a political party, have all the key positions, including the candidacy for the presidential election, from one part of the country. And why is it so difficult for anyone to listen to the argument coming from the governor of Rivers State?
So it will surprise you or interest you, I don't know which one applies, that the person who single-handedly was responsible for the emergence of EHIU as the chairman was Governor Wike. And at a better time, I will tell you more about that. And at the time he engineered the emergence of EHIU, I remember at that time there was agitation for the zoning to go to the southeast. So they decided that they were going to zone the chairmanship to the north. It was championed and spearheaded by Governor Wike, who is presently crying about zoning formula. And some people will tell you that the reason he did that was because he was expecting that he was going to run for presidency. Interest, everybody's permitted to have that. Now, fast forward, EHIU became chairman, but he was heard to have said that if the presidential candidate emerges from the primaries, he was going to resign. Don't forget that that statement is not backed up by the constitution of the party. It was his personal desire. But if it is based on convention and agreement by stakeholders of the party, it is an age-long principle. On no account should the president and the chairman of the political party come from the same part of the country. In this case, Atiku merely emerged as the presidential candidate. He is not the president. Therefore, the hula baloo or the brouhaha around two people from the same zone coming into power does not really hold water. But the party have agreed, the party members have agreed that if and when Atiku Abubakar becomes the president of Nigeria, EHIU will naturally step down from being the chairman of the party. It is that simple. And majority of the members of the party have understood that. They believe in that. It is just that Governor Wike does not seem to buy into it. And that's why I told you that after all is said and done, it is still the party that is supreme. The chairman board of trustees is from the southeast, as you can see. Probably in the coming days, you are going to see the chairman of the governors forum is going to emerge, and it's going to be from the southern bloc. The party is consistently engaging in ensuring that the unity which the party is known for is characterized even in its very structure. So the hula baloo around Atiku and EHIU coming from the same part of the country, it is just some people are trying to make the mountain out of a molehill. The agreement and the constitution of the party is the president, and that president is somebody who is elected. When you are a presidential flag bearer, you are not the president.
All right, okay. I'll come back to you so that we can stretch that, specifically looking at the move, even though the campaigns haven't actually officially started, looking at some of the fence mending that your party is having around southern Nigeria in the Port Harcourt Rivers axis. Let's come back to Yunusa. Yunusa, looking at Peter Obi,
yes.
Once upon a time a member of the PDP. Exactly. A lot of people are asking questions. What are we expecting from a Peter Obi presidency? Exactly,
a departure from the past, where people are not satisfied with what has been done, both within the PDP and then the APC. No matter how credentials you can rail of Nigerians are not satisfied. The Hausa man has a proverb, he say, Karebi san ana biki bashi ya gani akasa. That a dog doesn't know whether there is a party anywhere until when he sees bones on the ground. And these are simple things. The basic thing that we want to mention about Peter Obi is simple. When he came into power in 2006, the most easiest thing that he did because of the issue of insecurity, he partnered with the Nigerian police, buying them vehicles, pick-up vehicles so that they can be able to work effectively. If the federal government, as at that time, or other government have done what they ought to do, he didn't need to spend his money in that regard. He went ahead to do this. He made sure he bought a lot of transformers to light up Anambra State, because the issue of insecurity had to come with living or making sure that the areas are lighting up so that people can easily walk and do what they need to do. Not only did he go, he went ahead to make sure there's a network of roads, 900 kilometers of road all over Anambra. I visited Anambra during when I was an IPAC chairman, so I wasn't told stories. I went there and I saw them physically. He moved ahead, making sure that he regard a network building hospitals for the people so that he can work together with the agents and people who are sick. Apart from that, he made sure he put in foundation of hotels so that, because Anambra is a business center, remember Innocent and the motor vehicles and all, he needed people who can come in and do business in Aba and all of those ones. Those ones were being given to hip the economy of Anambra to the people, making sure also that the hub of the activities of the state itself center around the civil servant. We built a secretariat for them and making sure that those particular secretariats are workable. In terms of education, he made it very easy. Communication within the school prefects and himself, they have his own phone number directly. To cap it all, this man left about 75 billion naira in the purse of Anambra State. And you now call that particular person a greenhorn? No. What you're talking to an experienced person who have been proven with a lot of integrity, who is ready to give you the best of his own and making sure that his own, there's prudency in his and accountability.
Let me bring in 2 points.
And that person is not a greenhorn.
Let me bring in 2 points, still hovering around the greenhorn argument. Listen to Bwala. He said his candidate, when the president was busy then, going around speaking to partners and other countries for debt forgiveness for Nigeria, Atiku was merely in charge. And when I spoke to Atiku, he also said he was, relatively in charge of headhunting, getting some of the best brains to come fix Nigeria. And Dele Alake, who is also a spokesperson for Bwala Tinubu, came on the show and he called Peter Obi a man who's been running what he calls a consumption economy. So he's not into production. And what do you have to say to all of that?
This is interesting. We're talking about somebody who institutionalized a Nigerian vehicle industry in Nnewi, who has been touting the issue of consumption to production, whose mantra is about issue of consumption. He is not even interested in debt forgiveness. I'm talking about somebody who put the state in blue, making sure that they have enough money to even spend after he has left power. Here we are now just positioning that particular achievement to people who are going to look for debt forgiveness, putting Nigeria into perpetual poverty. No, we're not interested in that. We want to change what they have done with verifiable fact, actionable doing. And that is why, even when he was already going to study what he intended to do in terms of power generation, he went to Egypt, if you remember, and trying to communicate with people. Now, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, you have somebody who has been able to communicate with people in diaspora. And that is where our best are, because most of them have left this country deliberately because they have been pushed out because of inability of leadership to provide good enabling ground for them to perfect what they have learned. And now majority of our doctors, technocrats, businessmen, persons with disability, all of them are outside this country. And then he has been able to connect with them, which I can assure you that the moment Peter Obi signed the dotted line of becoming the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, come 2023, the influx of our best out of this country will come in trickling in numbers. And that will transform Nigeria from a consumer nation to a production nation, leading us to greatness. And out of the day, we will not even beg to anybody to give us. We will pay our debts.
Well, and Daniel, you heard Yunusa, but quickly here, let's talk more about what the PDP is doing in trying to win the hearts and minds of some of those. I see you have a smile. I know you would want to say something on that, but let me drop this. Daniel, hold on. I'll let you have your day. But first, I want you to tell us what your party is doing, trying to make that big incursion into southern Nigeria, specifically those who are still not too happy with the outcome of the PDP primaries.
There is the southeastern Nigeria is not angry with PDP. As a matter of fact, a good number of people from the southeastern part of the country are the people managing the architecture of Atiku Abubakar campaign. And that I can tell you because I'm a presidential spokesman there. Two, we are intact with the southeastern states. South-South, we are intact with every part of the South-South, including River State as a state. We have a good number of stakeholders there. The governor has made it clear to the hearing of everyone who cares to hear that he is not leaving the party. The misunderstanding will be resolved with time. You cannot, if a child starts crying, you can't stop him from crying. But one good thing about crying is that you cannot cry forever. You get to a point where you will have to calm down. But let me respond to what Dr. Yunusa said. You know, since he said Peter Obi is not a greenhorn, so let's talk about his record. First of all, Peter Obi never left 70 billion. Peter Obi left 17 billion in the treasury of the state. Even then, the 17 billion he left domicile in a bank to which he was a chairman. Talk about conflict of interest. Most of the transaction of the state during his tenure as the governor were done with banks that he was affiliated to or banks that he held executive position in one capacity or the other. Talk about corruption. Thirdly, Peter Obi is not known as someone who exemplifies production. So he says so much about production, but he doesn't even believe in consumption. He believes in importation. That is why with the large financial capacity that Peter Obi has had, Peter Obi has never thought of opening any form of industry in Nigeria for production, but he was mostly doing his business via importation. Whereas there are individuals with financial waters, not even half of what he has, who care to open companies that produce and recruit the Nigerian people. And fourthly, it is important for you to know that, because he admitted that he's not a great one, he's been around. Peter Obi is not a new phenomenon as people are making out to be. He did not emerge like a clap of thunder out of a blue sky. Peter Obi has been around. He has participated in politics. He has seen his shares of success and shares of failure. He was governor twice. Then when he left, at some point he served the government of Jonathan as advisor. He was also the chairman of Security and Exchange Commission. He also ran on the platform of PDP as a vice presidential candidate. In fact, I make the case that was what gave him the prominence that he enjoys today. But the worst of it all is that Peter Obi is not in a party that they have shared ideology or philosophy. Peter Obi's ideology of economy is in sharp contradistinction with the party that he has joined up. The Labour Union is a union of individuals that first prohibits removal of fuel subsidy. They prohibit certain what we call capitalistic tendencies in market economy. Peter Obi is a capitalist. He believes in free market economy. He has advocated for the removal of fuel subsidy. If Peter Obi becomes president in Labour, I give you this one, my word, it will be up to 3 months before he will part ways with the political party. And I'm glad Dr. Yunusa, when he was saying they don't believe in people jumping one political party to another, jumping one. If he has not jumped from PDP to Labour, they will not have seen him in the market to carry as their presidential candidate in the first place. And just 3 months ago, Peter Obi bought the form for presidential pursuit in PDP. He, in fact, attended the screening and he was near participating in the primaries. It's because he noticed that the opportunities were not going to be open for him that Peter Obi decided to switch. In case Dr. Yunusa does not know, I want to refresh his memory. Peter Obi started with ABGA, where he vowed that he would rather die than leave ABGA. Then he left ABGA and came to PDP, where we think that he was in the right place for us to frame it up as a future president. Then he now jumped to the Labour, where you have, where I call them a congregation of strange bedfellows. So like I told you, I will never castigate Peter because I believe the young man is smart and he has a future in this country, even though he has incoherent and uncoordinated economic policies with distorted facts and statistics in the way he communicates them. But still, they do not stand a chance. And I am not harsh on Peter Obi because I know at some point it will be obvious to him he doesn't stand a chance At that point, he will
let me bring Yunusa, now because it looks like that phrase is a phrase that almost every political party spokesperson has used in Nigerian politics, Daniel. Strange bedfellows. But quickly, Yunusa, you've heard it, and he said, well, it's not even consumption economy. He's someone who is into importation, and he can't fix what he speaks of.
Interestingly, I am sure that Raya is very much aware that his principal saw the value in Peter Obi. That was why he was picking him as a vice presidential candidate. Yeah, and then there was contradictory statement saying that probably he was a PDP member and then blah, 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 blah. This somebody who have noticed that there is nothing he could pick in that political party rather than going with the people. It is these particular words that he has already started mentioning that they resonate with the Nigerian people, especially the Nigerian youth. They know the value of what he has. He has exemplified it, he has put it on ground, and he has tested it. The issue of trying to, because we have helped them in making news, they don't at any point in time when Peter Obi speaks, it sends shiver to a lot of people. And then you said it's an uncoordinated statement. Look, give us the coordinated statement. We have not seen one. Let's even assume what you are debunking as regard to saying that probably he left money. The fact is that Peter Obi left money in the coffers of the Anambra State people. And you're talking about a principal who is looking out for ways in begging to solve out a problem, a perpetual problem they put us into. And you are having somebody who has gotten money, spend it prudently for the benefit of the people. And yet nobody, not even the banks, have yet disclaimed that particular verifiable fact. But of course, they will not like this particular statement because it makes them feel very uncomfortable. You are having a candidate who is clean, who is determined, who has engaged in various business to show that he has a business acumen. I have just mentioned that this particular person was involved in building a structure of having Nigerian cars all over Nigeria, and that is innocent motto. In Nigerian breweries, he was involved in it. So there is no way you can disassociate Peter Obi from production in that particular area called Anambra State. And of course, that one will transform into the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But you are having somebody who has been adjoined in the level of high level of, forgive me for using this word, corruption of the highest order. You cannot associate Peter Obi with either corruption. In fact, as he left office, Peter Obi has not benefited one kobo from the government of Anambra people. One, not even pure water. So that's to tell you how clean this particular person is. Look, for crying out loud, I think Nigerians should be happy that they've gotten somebody who you try to blackmail when you know that you have somebody that with good quality, and then you say, each of these particular issues that he has mentioned, all of them, there's no verifiable fact to this that say Peter Obi, apart from the one that we have put on ground. And every Nigerian can verify them.
And Daniel.
Okay, so let me.
Spot on, Daniel. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm glad he said Peter Obi. You know, Peter Obi is a smart fellow. So when he said Peter Obi left without adding benefits to himself in the state, maybe in form of emolument or some salary, I will put it to him that Peter Obi is smart about that. He doesn't need that because he already has profited from the money of the state that he deposited in the bank, which is a chairman. It's a smart way. That is one. Number two, when you talk about Innocent, there was Innocent before Peter Obi became a governor. And what Peter Obi did to Innocent, he did not do any favors to Innocent. Otherwise, he would have converted the entire infrastructure of the state and make Innocent Motors as not only the official cars of the state, but of the local government and project that within the southeastern region. He never did. And talking about that my principal saw something good in him, that's why he picked him. Yes, you are right. I agree with you on that. My principal saw potentials in Peter Obi. And my principal believed that if he's able to come and be his vice presidential candidate, he will learn on the job for the first 4 years or possibly 8 years and become ready and mature at being able to present himself as a presidential candidate. But at this stage, he's still a greenhorn. He did not wait to be nurtured. So for example, when Peter Obi was asked a question about insecurity, what are his security plans for the country? Peter Obi said, I have it, it is in my heart. I will not say it for security reasons until I become president. When the vice presidential candidate was asked the same question, He said, trust me, I know it, but we will not say it. I wonder, even in Banana Republic, even in Banana Republic, if the people must be trusted to vote for you, you must lay out your plan. Nobody is asking for operational plans. They are asking you to talk about your blueprint and vision for security. He never had. Secondly, when they ask him to renounce IPOB so that you can present yourself as a Nigerian, somebody that covers the Nigeria, he said he will never, that nobody can push him into condemning them. 4 times he was asked that question, and he has since not answered till today that I'm telling you. And thirdly, and very importantly, when you look at Peter Obi's idea of a government, he is able to smartly catch on, feast on slogans. And it's just like rapping. When you look at American rappers, there's what they call rhyming. So you can pick a certain types of words and then you rhyme them together. It will resonate with the people, either with their way of dancing or the message you are trying to convey. So that was the dummy that Peter Obi is selling to the Nigerian people. As so many people think, as I learned, that is popular, he's not.
Did you say Peter Obi is not popular?
Yes, it's not popular. Let me tell you what's happening. Algorithm check and analytics was carried out, and it is discovered that 57.5% of his followers do not live in Nigeria. So evidently, it is safe to assume that they do not have a voter's card, and that means on that day they will not come and vote for him. If you subtract 57.5 from the energy that he generates, you will discover that he does not have what we call substantial people that will vote for him. That is case number 1. Case number 2, even in his Twitter followers, it has been discovered that over 535,000 followers are actually bots. Bots means fake followers. They are followers without identity, without history, without any description whatsoever. So Peter Obi is basking in the euphoria of social media presence. But in Nigerian politics, for you to win election in Nigeria, you must translate from the cyberspace into physical space. You must know who are for you, who believe in your ideology, and who push it. And how we knew was that in Osun, when they said they were guaranteed 1 million votes, he went and campaigned for that candidate of Labour. The candidate of Labour, a very popular person in Osun, guess what they got? 2,700 votes. They have talked about a lot of 2 million march, 1 million march across the north. The highest they got was less than 75 or 175 people. I can't get the exact account. In the entire north, for you to be a president, you must score the highest lawful vote cast, and you must get 25% of the vote in at least 24 states of the Federation. If you bring that into the table, you know that Peter Obi does not stand a chance. I will still not be harsh with Peter Obi because I believe that he has a destiny to fulfill by forming alliance with Atiku Abubakar, learning on the job, and at the end of the day, the future, when we talk about the future of Nigeria, I'm sure that Peter Obi will have a role to play.
And before I let you go, since you're billed for another, program, quickly here, Daniel, I'll let Yunusa, respond to that. Then I come back to you, and I'll let you go, if that's fine by you, Daniel.
That's all right, no problem.
I am very much happy that he confirmed
No, he just said Peter Obi is not popular.
No. First of all, he said that Peter Obi is a smart person. I like that word, smart person. What we need are smart people to lead this country. We don't need people with questionable character, both locally and internationally. Nigerian people are tired of people with questionable character. We want people who can attest to time and then justify their action and be able to meet the people and speak to them face to face. When you talk about issue of non-popular, I wonder how you can account for millions of people in Plateau mobilizing and moving on the streets. Do you see the number of people that came out in River State? Did you see the people that came out in Benue State? Did you see the people that are mobilized and being stopped in Kaduna State? I've been to Zokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Kano State. I've seen people coming out in mass. They are in millions. You may be amazed. And the statistic he just mailed out, I want to know the source. Maybe the statistic was conducted by the PDP. When you want to conduct a statistic, you have to give us a verifiable fact of where the statistics are coming from. But you can see, apart from the fact that the Nigerian youth have made it very clear, they are showing this particular humongous support physically. Physically, why they are trying to finance individuals to support them to come out. Can you tell me one match that has been done in favor of PDP? One match.
Before we come to Daniel, help us make sense of this. I know a lot of people watching you will be amazed that Yunusa is tolerant of so many things from Daniel and every other person. Because one of the key concerns of some Nigerians is that the obedients are intolerant of ideas, intolerant of anyone who is against their candidate.
Look, in politics, you need to show decorum and decency. The mantra and the name, the obedient, are being called, we are obedient. And we are obedient to the law of the land, and we want to go on issue-based campaign. We're not interested in personal attack of anybody. You could hear me, and all of the things I have said, you could not debunk it, but they are used to that. They are the ones that are used to personal attack and name-calling, mudsliding, and backbiting, and even blackmail. Cheap one as that. But we are talking about verifiable facts. I just laid down to you some of the things that our people have been doing. They've been on the street, canvassing, mobilizing, even though while he makes his own attack negatively as it were, and you say he doesn't want to make a negative attack on that particular individual. But here you are doing the kind of campaign that was already been known in the old order. That's what we call old politics, old man politics. What we are interested in is the Nigerian project. What can you do to give Nigerian people succor? And this particular message has already been resonating with the Nigerian people. And you are here telling me that probably the millions of people that you saw on the social media, the millions of people that you saw personally coming out, both locally and internationally, and you said this particular person is popular, I think that his popularity is even sending shivers down the spine of everybody.
And Daniel, it's your closing moment. It looks like your party is still trying to recover from the shocking exit of Peter Obi to the Labour Party.
Yes, you're right that when Peter Obi left, we felt a little bit sad because we know a good number of PDP members left with him, especially those who identify with him either by tribe or they identify with him by emotions or by the slogan that he's carrying. But like I told you, the election is about 5-6 months from now. When the campaign starts in the last week of September, when candidates will be required to go around the country, Peter Obi will assess his popularity from organic followers, not from social media followers. And when Dr. Yunusa...
Well, I really hope we...
That's the meaning of obedience. The meaning of...
Daniel, I lost the connection for a bit, and I'm hoping that you're back so that you can finish your train of thought before you leave. Is Daniel back? Well, we'll hope to get Daniel back here. And one other thing here I wanted to bring before you,
yes.
And this has got nothing to do with the PDP, but with the APC, and it has to do with the allegation from the APC that your party is trying to fake an assassination attempt.
You see, the interesting thing about this is that they play this politics sending wrong signals. They tell the story that our own story for us, just to create a kind of shadow on top of us. But the simple fact is that there was no anything. I was with Peter Obi yesterday at the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC retreat. So who is telling the story? And then you come out and say something that we didn't say. Anything that will not come from our mouth is not from us. So you just create it just to send names and then get the kind of a popularity that you are looking for. Because the mentioning of Peter Obi gives you room for popularity. Just to mention it. Now, I want you to look at it, Sulaiman. Since we started this campaign, have you ever heard Peter Obi mentioning the name of any candidate? Not for once. Not for once, not even mentioning their names or what they have done. All he's interested in looking forward, moving the Nigerian ship forward, making it going to a greater height, and dealing with issue-based politics. Nothing more, nothing less. And in fact, to show his tolerance, level of tolerance in a decent political terrain, you saw him at the NBA conference, giving respect to leaders, saying hello to some other leaders who are older than him. That is the level of tolerance. That is the kind of politics Nigeria wants. And that is why he's connecting with the people. And that connection is making them very, very uncomfortable. Here I am talking about some of the very beautiful good things. And you cannot debunk that. You cannot deal with it and say that probably Peter Obi does not have people on the street following him. He did not pay them one kobo. And you're saying that same person is not popular. You can see the level of decay in their mood.
So when you say he didn't pay them, a dime, is that the beginning, or is that a start of, Nigeria's political journey?
Evolution.
Yes.
Of course.
Out of, money politics.
Exactly. That's what we are trying to tell Nigerians. That look, they will come with your money, but look for people who have the capacity and credibility to lead you. And this is the statement coming from mosques and churches and even any group of people who are interested in making Nigeria great. Look, this movement is organic. These are people who are moving it. In fact, it's going beyond even Peter Obi. That's to show you the love. So we are gradually shifting. For the first time in Nigeria, we have somebody who has resonated with the Nigerian youth, bringing them away from docility and to thinking that, yes, there's hope in Nigeria. For the first time, you have somebody who can travel out of this country without fear that everybody now is gravitating towards him, mobilizing their own little resources to his own campaign by themselves. So it's a grand shift from what we know of. They have harnessed stolen money with large number of money that they've taken in order to challenge the status quo, and the money is not making any move. And people are just taking, okay, fine, you come with the money, we're not interested in it.
But you would agree that in running for an election on the continent in Africa, just as we've seen in Kenya, and also as we've seen a lot of times in Nigeria, you need a war chest.
Of course, you need it for logistic interests, logistic purposes. And that is why...
And do you think your party has that?
Of course, because of the support that Nigerian people are giving by themselves. People are raising money by themselves and spending it in the cause of Peter Obi. I said I was in Sokoto. I saw people building billboards. Ordinarily, another opposition political party would have been the one paying money to go and erect billboards for them and giving them face cap. We are waiting for Kayan IQ, we are looking for money to do work. This time around, it's not like that. It is the people that are presenting themselves, providing the logistics, providing the money, providing everything. Look, it may amaze you to know we have support group on intelligence. We have support group of finances. We have support group on mobilization. We have support group of youth. We have support group of girls and ladies. We have support group of persons with disability on their own. It is unprecedented. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria. And no single kobo has been allocated to this particular individual. If they dare to do that, they will run into bankruptcy because they have to finance it.
Now tell us about your vice presidential candidate.
Yes. Deti Baba Ahmed is a well-intelligent person who owns a university, who has been a Federal House of Rep member, and at the same time a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and he comes from Zaria, Kaduna State. Is
he a Nigerian?
Of course, he's a Nigerian. According to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as long as you are in Nigeria, you spend 10 years. And we're talking about somebody who was born in Zaria. We have individuals who come from this other particular part of the country, which virtually almost all of us have come from one particular part of the country. In fact, at the point in time, the principal of the PDP has adjourned to be coming from another country. So, but we are talking about somebody who was born here, who lived here, who stayed here, who was educated here, who have stayed beyond the constitutional provision, and you are still asking whether he's a Nigerian, for crying out loud. He's a bona fide Nigerian. He's entitled to run for election at any point. He's a full Nigerian. So you cannot challenge that particular constitutional provision.
But you know, there's a precedent in Nigeria's political history where a politician has been extradited on account of not being a Nigerian. It was discovered he wasn't a Nigerian.
But that is him. But in this particular situation, I'm giving you very valuable facts.
Have you heard the argument? Because it is when you get to politics, you hear so much.
Of course.
Have you had the argument of having Mauritanian, lineage?
Do you even know that at a point in time, some of our emirs come from their own lineage because of the trade Sahara trade, and they've already come here under the jihad war and already established in Nigeria. And they are kings, and you will tell me that those ones are not, they are not Nigerians? No, of course they are. So these are facts. Even anybody, some of the people who can be, say, indigenous in Nigeria, they have been here, but there are other people who have migrated for a very long time. Virtually, if you trace your history, you may be able to find that probably you are from Island Island. You are a Nigerian. And so also other, for example now, when you go to the United States of America, if you look at all of those Irish and all of them, they have that. Even the last president of the Federal Republic, United States, Donald Trump, come from another country. His parents come from another country, but yes, he's an American. So that particular position is not tenable now.
Speak to us about this, your party's incursion in northern Nigeria. You just told us about what's happening in Sokoto State, and that's another core northern, state.
Yes.
Time was when people believed that it will be almost impossible for someone from another part of the country, specifically in southern Nigeria, to have that, incursion into the political space of northern Nigeria. The last many saw was with MKO Abiola. So how is your party doing, in its conversation, because the campaigns haven't started, in its conversation with people in other parts of the country, specifically northern Nigeria?
Yes, exactly. I think we have advanced even beyond that. I tell you a story, something that really happened in Sokoto that really get me really so happy. When we arrived in Sokoto, there's a billboard that was being created by somebody, a group of individuals who finance it by themselves. And next to that particular billboard is another torn billboard, scattered billboard. Then I was wondering, Peter Obi and Deti Baba Ahmed billboard was still standing. So I started asking the question, but how comes that Peter Obi billboard is standing in Sokoto untouched and the next one to it is destroyed? That simply means to you that the people have accepted that particular face, has accepted that particular movement, and the person who must have put that billboard there must have been a person that they respected so much. And they believe in that particular person. Not only did I do that, I went further and I saw that they have 6 of them all scattered in Sokoto State.
So it's indicative of something.
Of course, it's indicative of the fact that he's accepted and he's welcome, and at the same time, it's also shows the level of tolerance of the Sokoto people in our political dynasty, thinking that probably they would have been the one that would have said no. And then that debunked that particular insinuation, saying that nobody will vote for Peter Obi in northern Nigeria. We now moved to Gusau. In Gusau, I saw persons with disabilities. Yes, I saw Aisha. Interestingly, my mother's name. Aisha came out, she was screaming and crying that for the first time in her life, somebody from southeastern state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is coming into her own state to protect her against her own people. Yes, that was the statement, because she knows that for years, her husband, who was also a person with disability person, was killed by bandits and all. And so therefore, here is somebody who has been able to show that he had the capacity of, securing his state, using the apparatus of the government, giving them money to make sure that the state was secured. And such a thing can be done. And she busted crying. Well,
Tanko Yunusa, I'm afraid we have to go, but we'll keep the conversations going. As soon as the campaigns are on, we'll have you back again, if we can, live here.
God bless Nigeria. And thank you very much for having me.
I'd like to thank you, Yunusa Tanko and Daniel Bwala, for being such nice company on the program today. So far, we've had our conversations on the square with the PDP, the APC, and of course the Labour Party and the PDP spokespersons. We're waiting to speak to the NNPP, and then we'll see who will be coming next. I'm Sulaiman. Many thanks for watching.